Welcome to Cayuse SP training. Today we're going to show you how to use Cayuse sponsored projects, that's what SP stands for, in order to route a proposal internally here at Tulane University. Today this will only cover the SP side of things. I also have training videos on S2S, which stands for System to System. That is how to submit a proposal to grants.gov through our system. But for this, we're focused mainly on internal routing here at Tulane. So today I'm going to show you the basics on how to do this, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My name is Walter Ward here at Tulane University. I'm more than happy to help out. So to get started, you'll log into our web platform here. For this training, we're using a training environment URL. This isn't the actual Cayuse environment, so just keep that in mind. Everything I'm doing here is all fake numbers and really won't go anywhere besides in our training environment, a little sandbox to play in. The first thing you'll see when you log into Cayuse using your Tulane credentials is this landing page. This is your My Tasks page. Everyone will start here. And we're not going to worry about this too much right now. Later on, I'll explain how tasks work. It's basically a way to message within the system. And you'll see I've got all of these messages here. It'll make more sense as we go along. For right now, what we're going to do is go into the Sponsored Projects module. In order to do that, look in the top right of your screen. Under Products, you can click that, and it'll show you every module or product that we have here at Tulane that Cayuse, that we work with Cayuse with. So right now, we just have Sponsored Projects, Proposals S2S, and Outside Interests. What we want to do today for internal routing only is go to Sponsored Projects. And that'll open up this page. On this page, you'll see every proposal that you have access to. So I work in sponsored projects. I can see all of the different proposals at the bottom. I can see I have almost 12,000 I can see. If you're a PI, you may only see the proposals that you have access to or that you work on. If you're a dean or a chair of a department, you might see that department, everything in there. They're all kind of sorted out by that method. So if you think you should be seeing something that isn't on your dashboard, let me know, or let Sponsored Projects know. We can help out. And keep in mind, you can do up to 100 per page as well, and all the page numbers down here. Up at the top left, we have the proposals area, which we are in now. We have awards, and the awards you won't need to worry about. Those are managed by SPA and by our accounting teams here at Tulane. And in the middle, we have projects. We're not really concerned about that. I will say that a project is basically, it's an umbrella folder structure that holds all of the different proposals and awards inside a single project. So to put it short, perhaps you have one proposal and then it's new, and then next you have a resubmission of that proposal. That would all live inside of one overarching project. It's just a way to, like a big folder, to keep track of everything. So we won't worry about that for right now. Here at the top, we have the 7 different filters for the proposals dashboard, and this kind of describes the life cycle of a proposal. I'll kind of go through each one of these and show you. If I click on the In Development tab, it adds this filter, Status in Development, to this filter bar. This is like a filter search bar. It's not a direct search bar. You'll see what I mean in just a moment, but it's added this status filter of in development, so I only see the 791 proposals that are in development currently. Once something is in development, anything in development is perfectly editable by whoever has access, but the minute it goes to under review, the proposals get locked down for review, so you won't be able to make any changes. And you'll see that later when we work on a proposal. So this status shows under review. The next status we have is approved. When something is approved, that means that all reviews have been done, and then it's up to Sponsored Projects Administration to do the final review, and then we are the ones that will submit this to the sponsor for you. We also have a few other filters here: under consideration, funded, and closed. In addition to these 7 filters, we have maybe about 100 different filters built into the system. Any field that we have in Cayuse, you are able to search by using the search bar. And I'll point out that this search bar can be tricky. You can't just start typing the name of a PI, or you can't just start typing the name of a proposal in here. This is actually to search for a filter. So let's say you want to find everything by a certain PI. You would type the letters PI and look for the PI filter. This is looking for any filter with the letters PI in it, so you're going to see a few subrecipients because it's got the letters PI in it. But if you go down here, you can see PI. If you type out my name, I can find all of the proposals that I'm the PI on. It could be, there's one popular filter we have called research team. So if I look for research team name and I put in my name, it will show every proposal that I'm not only the PI on, but if I happen to be listed as a co-investigator or something like that. So research team name is a good way to search for everything. You can see, here we go, there's a PI as Sarah Hall, but if I were to open that proposal, I would see that I'm listed as one of the co-investigators on this one. You can add multiple filters too. So if you have your research team name down, and let's say you care about the title that you want to search for next, I recommend using proposal title actual. That's the most accurate title because we want to look at the proposal name, not the project name. And I'm going to add telomeres. So this will show me everything that I am able to work on and has the word telomeres in the project title. So you can see all of these different ones. I use that for my training. So you can add as many filters as you want. And to get rid of a filter, you just X out of it. The other thing I'll show you on this page is we have these 11 different columns here. Unfortunately, at the time, these are not sortable, but you can set the view. If you don't like what some of these are or you don't really care about the information, for example, I don't really need to know the instrument type, whether it's a grant or a contract, so I can go to set view, and I have to uncheck one of these. There's a maximum of 11 columns, so I've got to uncheck one. I'm going to uncheck instrument type, and maybe I care about, let's see, I will do, find one that I like, activity type. And then when I do that, it will reload the page and show me the activity type instead of that. So, research, training, something like that. So you can add whatever views you want there. We're not really concerned about these other buttons. We don't really use this assign to me only. If you want, you can download a spreadsheet of everything you have by using this download to CSV button, and you can select any of these fields or as many as you want. As you can see, there's a lot, and check them, and you can download a spreadsheet of all the proposals you have access to. In addition, we have a reporting tool that I won't be covering today, but if you ever use the reporting tool, the proposal report works very well. I would not recommend using the award report, though. There's a few tricks to the award report, but the proposal report works pretty well, and there will be a different video about that. And now we're going to start a new proposal. To begin a new proposal, you go to the top right where it says Start New Proposal. This is a very important question. It asks you straight off the bat. It asks if this proposal is related to any other existing proposal or award that will create a brand new project, or if this is related to an existing proposal. The way this should work is if this is a proposal that has not been worked on at Tulane before, this is brand new to Tulane, this project is brand new, you will click the top option. If this is a project or a proposal that has been worked on at Tulane, maybe this is a resubmission or renewal, then you can search for the old project number or project title. So, if this is something you've done before at Tulane, you're sure of it, and you just need to add a new proposal into that project, click on the bottom option and you can search for, I use telomeres a lot in mine, and this is why the naming convention, which I'll show you in a minute, is important. You want to make sure you name something that's easy to find. Now I use the same titles for a lot of things, so I have the date that I put it here. But for our purposes today, we're just going to stick with this top option. This is going to be a brand new project, brand new proposal. The way I like to put things in, and this is totally up to you, this name for your project, this is something that will not be transmitted anywhere. This is just, imagine this a label on a big file folder to help you find it later. So what I like to do is put the PI's name, the last name, I'll put the sponsor, and I'll put a few words about the project or proposal title. You can put whatever you like here, whatever it makes it easier for you. I'll put, let's see, using telomeres And I'll put today's date. And then I will create a new project. Now when you do this, this is the very first and most important step of getting this whole thing going. You'll see a green notification that your new project and proposal have been created. The minute this happens, us in sponsored projects can see that you've started a proposal. So it's really important to start this as early as possible so that we can help out. Now we can see this in our system and we're able to come in and help out with your proposal. And before we get started filling this out, I just want to show you an overview of this screen. So now that we're looking at the sponsor projects proposal, up in the top here, you're going to see your active projects. That was your home screen. This is the project that we just started. So you can see this here. If I click on the project, it'll show all the proposals in this project. Again, maybe this is just the first proposal, but there could be a resubmission down the line, something like that. It'll show all of the awards in this project. So I'm just going to go back to my proposal by clicking on that. And here is the number of the proposal. And if you're curious of what it means, 25, this is the fiscal year. 105, that's the project number inside of that fiscal year. And this is the proposal number, P0001. This is the first proposal inside of this project, inside of this fiscal year. If you see an A001, that means it is an award. Some other things on the top here, these buttons, this has recently been updated to make it more clear in Cayuse. These buttons are disabled until we actually are able to route this for review. The purpose of our training this morning is going to be to fill out this entire form to make these buttons active. The proposal summary just shows, this will autofill as we go. This will show you just an overview of the proposal. On the right hand side, it shows you the status of the proposal. Right now it is in development. And you don't need to click on this. This is, if you see this button here, you don't really need to work with it. This is something that sponsored projects can use in order to change a status, but only we have access to change a status. So keep that in mind. We'll talk about that more in routing. And here's the project number as well, in case you need to go back to the project. This link does the same thing as the link up here. So now we're going to go through each one of these proposal sections and fill these out. Occasionally I'll jump over to one of these tabs to explain what they do, but our main goal is going to be to fill out each of these sections. We're going to start at general information. You can see that we have 9 required questions for this proposal. So, for this section. So what we're going to do is fill out this little section here. The legacy proposal number you do not need to worry about. This was part of our old routing system. We don't need to put anything here. Just leave that blank. We do have this mandatory field. You can tell it's mandatory by the red star. So you need to put the primary school or unit associated with this proposal. If you don't see anything on here that matches, you can always put other departments and centers. I'll just say this one is School of Medicine. You can see that the change is saved. Every time that you make any change to the form, it is saving automatically. The proposal title actual. This is the actual name of your proposal. So put in whatever that may be. Just going to put in a generic title here. We have the award type, and this will drive a few different things, which we'll talk about in a second. So if you click this drop down, you have these options for the award type. I'm going to put grant for this one. And we'll show off what the other ones are in just a second here. So we've got proposal type. I'll say this one is new. If you need definitions of other proposal types here, we have them down here. A note that we normally don't do continuations. So if this is a continuation, reach out to your sponsored projects contact to make sure, because normally we don't put continuations in the system anymore. Sponsor field. This is where you have to start typing a little bit of the sponsor name in order for them to show up. So I'm going to type, I have a few acronyms built into the system. So if I type NIH, then it's going to give me a list of anything with NIH in it. So I'm going to take that right here. You can ignore this red warning. It's just letting you know that you can only select one sponsor. Obviously, there can only be one sponsor per proposal. This will not cause an error. It's just a little red highlight text to let you know. I will talk about now the award type. What if this was a subaward? if I were to select, if we were a subaward on another institution's proposal, we would select subaward. And you'll notice when I did that, this prime sponsor area appears. This means that we have to enter the prime sponsor for this proposal. In this case, it's going to be NIH. And the money, the way to think of it, the money starts at NIH, it flows through to another university. Let's say LSU. I'll just put LSU Press for this one. And so it'll start with NIH, flow through to LSU Press, and then come to us. So we have a definition of the prime sponsor and sponsor. If you're confused about which one is which, be sure to reach out to Sponsor Projects and we can help you out. But in order to keep this proposal nice and simple, I'm going to switch this back to grant, and you'll see the prime sponsor goes away, and I can put in NIH if I want. But before I do that, know that I've got a note right here that says you can select unlisted if the entity isn't found. So if I type in unlisted, you can type in your own sponsor. And we see this, we're looking at this page every day, and when we see unlisted sponsors, we will add them to our system. So we want to make sure that this will not hold up your routing process. So I'm going to go back here and just type NIH and get that going. So again, there's no need to email us if you can't find a sponsor. Just do some good searching. If you can't find it with your search tools, then put in unlisted and we'll have a look at it. Next we have, is the sponsor a corporation or foundation? I'm going to say no. If you say yes to this, it'll ask if this will be coordinated with the Office of Corporate and Foundation Relations. That's another yes/no question. But we're just going to say no, and that'll get rid of that question. So you see how these built-in questions could build out other questions. Because we selected NIH, we do have this other option for NIH activity code. Tulane likes to track which activity codes we're using. So here, I've got an R01 right here. There's an option for other if you would like to put that. Main activity type. These we have a few here. I'm going to say this one is research. I will point out that while I'm going to change this, and I want you to notice what happens on the left-hand side over here. If you select a proposal that is this specific clinical trial industry-funded selection, it will add a clinical trial section to the proposal. So keep that in mind, that clinical trial section will only show up if this is indeed a industry-funded clinical trial. Federal clinical trial, that won't trigger it. We're just going to leave this at research for now. And the sponsor deadline is also mandatory, so make sure you put the sponsor deadline. I'll just pick the end of this month. And if there is no deadline, just choose the latest possible submission date because this is a required field. And you'll see we've got one required question left. And this question is how you lead into Cayuse Proposals S2S if you are using S2S. S2S stands for System to System, and it is how you can directly submit a proposal to grants.gov through this system. We're going to leave this one at no. That's a separate training altogether. Be sure to check out more videos on our YouTube page or reach out to us for training if you need to know how to use Cayuse Proposals S2S. But I will say, if you are going to use Cayuse Proposals S2S, we recommend, if you do hit yes, to use the bottom button to go directly into Proposals S2S. Don't use this middle proposals search. It's possible you can link to an existing S2S record you already have out there, but we're recommending you do not use this middle option and always use this bottom option if you can. But for now, we're going to leave that at no. And with that, we have our first green check, and this section is done. The next section we'll cover is key personnel, one of the important parts of our proposal. You'll see that it'll tell you at the top to choose each member of the key personnel team, starting with the lead principal investigator. And we've got some notes that anyone that has an investigator role will have to certify this proposal during the routing phase. So the first thing you'll see at the top here is we have, we'll talk about this effort section in just a minute, but what we want to do is put in the main PI for this proposal. So I'm going to search for Walter Ward. You'll notice that when you do a search for everybody at Tulane, there's these little arrows so you can get more information. I know we have a few people with similar names, so you can always kind of check what department they're with. And it'll even show you their main department they work out of here. So I'm going to pick myself as the PI. The role for the drop-down, I will pick Principal Investigator, and my internal association is Sponsored Projects Administration. You may see people that have multiple internal associations. For example, some people may work in School of Medicine, but also work out of the Cancer Center as well. We recommend just using whatever their main internal association is. And again, you can always look at that by whenever you search for the name, you can see what their internal association was. But for me, I only have the one right here. And then under effort, we have sponsored effort and cost share. We have C, A, and S for each part. C stands for calendar, and then A, academic, S, summer. This is the sponsored effort for each time period. We have it set up in the system so that I am on a 12-month calendar year schedule. Some people uptown may be on an academic summer schedule, so you can see that the A and S are grayed out for me. I can't put anything here. But I'm going to put 10% effort on this. And if you don't like using the percentage, you can always go up to this little toggle right here and select months instead. So if you know how many months you're working on it, you can put it in here and it'll do the conversion for you. So it's up to you, whichever one you want to use. I should also mention that we always want one person to show up as principal investigator, regardless of whether this is a subaward or not. So even if this was a subaward to LSU, or we are the subawardee from LSU, make sure that we have one person on our team listed as principal investigator, even if in the main proposal one of our team members is just the co-investigator. The reason is it's easier to find the proposals in the system if we have one person at Tulane listed. Remember, this is not going anywhere outside of Tulane. This does not get submitted to grants.gov, does not go to any other schools. This is just our internal routing process. So make sure one person at least is listed as principal investigator. We also have the option here, we can add a team member. So we're going to add a team member here. And let's say I want to add a co-investigator to this. I will find somebody else and select them, make them the co-investigator, pick their internal association, and give them their effort percentage here. You can add as many people as you want to the proposal. Anytime you add someone, it'll add that department's routing into the routing chain. So you'll see that when we talk about routing later on. And we have the following roles. Anyone that's listed as any investigator role will have to certify this proposal, so keep that in mind. Anybody listed below will not have to certify. Next at the bottom, we have this option here. Are there any other individuals not listed above in key personnel who the PI considers to be responsible for the design, conduct, or reporting of the research described in the proposal? If you say yes to this, you can add other Tulane employees who are not considered to be key personnel. This is a search function here within Tulane, so if you know somebody here that you want to add, you can search and find them here. If it's an outside affiliate, you can type in the name. This is obviously not searchable. You just type in whatever name you need here. You can type in what school they're with. We would recommend using this if there is a subaward going out from this. Maybe list the name and where they're from, comma delineated, just for our review internally. Again, this goes nowhere besides Tulane. We just want to know who's working on this with outside affiliates. If you have any questions about where someone should go, reach out to your sponsored projects contact and we can help you out with this section here. And once you're done adding all of this, you have a check mark on key personnel, and we're done with this section. Before we finish the rest of these sections on the proposal, I want to jump over to a couple of tabs here in the middle to talk about access. So we have an access tab here, and this is where you can give access to people who are not listed in the key personnel section. So for this Cayuse SP, this does not talk about Cayuse S2S, but the key personnel section, anyone that's listed here automatically has access to this proposal. So right now I have, of course, I started the proposal, so anyone that starts the proposal has full access. Anyone you list here as a co-investigator will have access. To remove access or to remove people here, you can just remove the team member. just keep that in mind. Anybody you list here will automatically have access. In addition, anyone from sponsored projects automatically has access, so you don't need to grant access to us. You don't need to grant access to the to anybody that already does have access to the proposal. But if you want to add somebody, you can go to Add Person here, and you can pick somebody at the university that you would like to have access to the proposal. Maybe there's someone that's a budget expert in your department that you want to have a look at, or just anyone else. This should be one of the first steps you do after you do the Key Personnel. Jump over to the Access tab and add anybody you want to have access. So if I add somebody, obviously this person, Kathy Kozar, automatically has access, but I'm just using her as an example. By default, when you add somebody, they have view access. You can give them edit as well. So that's how you have them come in and help you work on a proposal. So make sure you use this Access tab to your advantage here. Next, we have a really important feature in our system, something called tasks. And we're going to show off, there's been a bunch of new additions to the tasks feature. First, I'll point out on the right-hand side, there's a little slide-out menu of your tasks that you may or may not want to use, but it just shows you things that you may need to work on that are still open tasks for you. A task is a way to send an email that is based within the Cayuse system. So it's a good way to message people instead of, let's say you want to share a proposal with somebody, or you want to share a link to a proposal. Instead of going to the top and copying and opening your email inbox and sending an email to have people go to this proposal, what you can do is send a task for something to be done directly within this software. It's really handy. We use it a lot, and I'll show you some of the basics about it. So first, on the left-hand side, we have a few different statuses. These are kind of new. They just added these a few months ago. We have open, in progress, on hold, and closed. So this shows anything on this proposal with those statuses. To create a new task, you will go to New Task, and it opens up a new page. And we will call this task, let's say, Check Out Budget. And there's an optional, this is new, we have a category, this is optional. If there's a category you want to assign this to, you can. It's okay to leave that blank if you want. We can assign this task to a person or a team. Right now we don't have any teams set up, but let's say there's, if there's a group of people that routinely needs to respond to a task, we can always build a team for that person, for that task. Just let us know if there's a specific group of people that always needs to be lumped together as a team. But for now, we're just going to assign this to a single person. So I'm going to find, let's see, Kathy Kozar, and add her as a person here. Unfortunately, you can't ad hoc add multiple people. You can only do a person or a team for right now. In the future, we're hoping that might change. Let's say the due date, I want this completed by Friday. And the description, I'm just going to say, please review budget. Here you can add a reminder. This is new as well. So let's say, I gave her the due date of the 21st. I can set this for 1 day before the due date. If this task is not completed, it will send out an email reminder to let her know to complete this task. We can also add an attachment up to 75 megabytes here if there's a screenshot or something. You can add a comment here at the bottom. This is a way to respond to a task. I'll talk about that in a minute. So once you've got everything here and you want to assign and send a task, you just click the button and it will assign the task. What happens is they will get an email, and the email will have a link that says, click here to review this task. They will be brought directly to this proposal form, so they can have a look at what you're talking about, and then they'll go into the tasks, and if the task looks good, if they have any comments on the task, they can add a comment saying fixed, whatever they want, and then they can save the changes. They can close the task if it's closed. One little tip I recommend is this will only generate emails whenever a person has been assigned a task. So let's say you want to, I assign this to Kathy, but Kathy wants to assign it back to me in order to generate an email. She can always change the person back to me and save the changes. and now it'll show up in my task list. So in order to look at your task list, you can either use this slide out thing on the right hand side, or you can go to Products, Home. It will show you all the tasks. So I'm going to sort by, I'm going to do created by me. There's one of the options I have here, and I could use this to sort. Here's the one right here. That's the one I just made. And I got an email for this as well because it got bounced back to me. So I'm going to hit closed and save the changes here. All right, and now that task has been closed. So just keep in mind, use access and tasks in order to work with the system a little bit more smoothly. If you need help using these tasks or access, reach out to us in sponsored projects. I'll tell you that when we see a task come into our email box, that's really important to us. We know there's a proposal being worked on, and it's a big red flag for us to come in and help out as quickly as possible. So we highly recommend using tasks instead of sending emails. This will send the email for you. So it's a really good feature to have. Okay, next we're going to move back to our proposal form and finish up the rest of these. We have performance sites is the next section we're going to pick. So we need to always make sure one of these top two selections is picked. Almost all the time, one of these should be selected. The first question is, will the proposed work be conducted on campus? We're going to say yes to this. And we're going to name an on-campus building location. I'm just going to put Tidewater. If you start typing out the name of your building, it should show up, or wherever this research is taking place. If it doesn't show up, reach out to sponsor projects and let us know, and we'll see, we can add it or find where it's hidden. Some of the buildings can have kind of long, strange names, so we'll be glad to help you out there. And then put the room number. You don't need to go crazy with this by adding multiple locations. This is mainly for accounting to know which building the research is being done in. So just put one or two things if you need to. If you need to put multiple, you can always add multiple things and comma delineate the room numbers if you want. Again, this is just internal stuff. We'll be reviewing it, so it's fine. The next question is our off-campus question. We're going to leave this one at no, but we have this phrase a little funny. Will the Tulane personnel conduct any of the proposed work in a U.S.-based off-campus facility? So this could be, a leased space like University Healthcare System, East Jeff, Lakeside, Lakeview. These are considered off-campus buildings. And if you say yes to that, you need to type in the off-campus location manually. So it even says at the bottom, include any hospital facilities to be used in this study. If you have any questions about whether something is considered on or off campus, it might get tricky. Reach out to us and we can help. And finally, we have, will the proposed work be performed at a foreign location? If you say yes to this, there's a list of all countries. So pick where you want to do your research. You can pick multiple countries if you want. So if I put multiple, I can do that. And it's now saving, and we've got our green check for performance sites. And next we're going to move on to the summary budget, a very big section here. We're going to start with the project period start date. You can either type it in or use the calendar to select which one. I'm going to say we're going to start this on April 1st, and we're going to go through March 31st of 2027. We'll say, I'm just going to put in some random numbers here, direct cost, indirect cost, total project cost. Using some simple numbers here, obviously aren't going to look like this for F&A rates, but just want to show you that if you put the total project cost and it does not equal the direct and indirect, it'll give you a little warning message letting you know. It won't fix it for you and it won't calculate, which it would be nice if it did. But it just gives you a warning that those costs aren't adding up. So just make sure you have something written in here. And now we have a multi-year budget breakdown. Tulane likes to know not only the money that we have for this first budget period, but any future budget periods. So on the right-hand side, you can add budget periods depending on how many years this is. I have this as a 2-year proposal, so I'm just going to put in the project period start and end dates here. And 3/31/27. All right. And once I fill all this out, Make sure you do this for every project period. We do reviews of all of these proposals to make sure your multi-year budget breakdown is in here. So if you forget to do it, we're going to send you an email at some point saying, please include all future years in your proposal. Next, we have the on-campus F&A rate. This box is only showing up because in the previous section in performance sites, we said this would be on campus. If we would have said off campus, then our off-campus rates would have shown up here. And these F&A rates, this will show you a date range that they're valid through, and these are all of our standard rates. I'm going to pick this organized research 53% on campus. That's what we're using now. These rates, this does not do any math. This does not drive any calculations. It's just for us to review and see which rate is being used, just for our personal review here at the department. If the rate is not listed, or if it's a different rate, you can select other, and you can put in the other rate. You know, if it might be 8% if it's international, something like that. And if you do that, it'll ask you, is the other rate one that deviates from Tulane's federally negotiated rates or the sponsor's published rate? I'm going to say no. If you say yes, it will ask you to fill out an F&A cost waiver approval form. So keep that in mind. That form will only show up if it deviates from the sponsor's published rate or Tulane's federally negotiated rates. So that's the whole chain of events that happens if you select other. What I'm going to do is just delete this and make this one nice and simple and use this organized research 53% on campus. Next, does the budget reflect a sponsor imposed salary cap? Yes or no? Again, sponsor imposed salary cap, keep that in mind. Then we have a cost share section. Other than cost sharing resulting from a sponsor imposed salary cap, is there any additional cost sharing? So if you say yes to this, it will generate this cost share type and a cost share institutional match form. This will lead to, if you click on it, this is an external form you can fill out that will automatically route, depending on what you fill in, to your approver, and it'll show their approval email and their name, and you fill this out, and this will route, and at the end, after your approver approves everything, you should get a PDF of this approval, cost share approval, in your inbox, and we'll have to attach that later on at the end of the proposal. So keep that in mind. Cost sharing, if it does exist, you do have to fill all this out too. So that could be internal cost sharing with some discretionary funds. You put in what you want here, multiple rows if you need it. But for this proposal, we're going to say there is no cost sharing. Leave that at no. If you have any questions about that, please reach out to us. And with that, we have another checkbox. Next up, we have subawards. Only one question here, but I'm going to show how a subaward will work here. Are there any outgoing subawards named in the proposed scope of work and or budget? I'm going to say yes to this. And the subrecipient, you can select unlisted if you don't have it, but I'm going to say it'll be Harvard University. Put in the amount here. You can add multiple subrecipients if you want. But what I want to show you, I'm going to do this a second time to show you, we have some required routing documents that we have to do at the end of this proposal. Notice right now it's at 5. But if I say yes, that immediately jumps up to 8, because now there's 3 more bits of documentation we're going to need from Harvard at the very end. So this is the good part about this form. It doesn't overload you with information you don't need. It only shows up info when you need to add it. So, you know, at the very end of this, we'll have to add Harvard University's required routing documents. Next, we're going to move on to regulatory compliance. And we have some instructions here. If you need help attaching documents, just let us know. Does the research involve human subjects? If you say yes to this, it will open up a new question underneath. It'll say, has the project been approved by IRB? Yes, no, pending approval. If I say yes, it'll ask another question. What is the IRB of record? I'll say this is Tulane, which opens up another where you put in the other numbers here, the study number, date of approval, whatever that happens to be. You can add other studies here. So what happens here is when this goes to route for review, this will send a notification to IRB to let them know that this proposal does involve human subjects. So a lot of these times when you answer yes to certain questions or no to some of them, it will fire off notification emails to people or departments to let them know. So it's a really powerful tool built into this system that we have. Does the research involve animal subjects? I'll say no to this, but just know that if you say yes, the same rules apply. It'll show a little chain of questions that will trigger notification emails. Does the project involve recombinant or synthetic nucleic acid molecules? Yes or no. Radiological materials? Yes, no. Hazardous materials? If you say yes to this, you need to list out every hazardous material involved. Select agents, toxins. If you say yes to this, it is a drop down of all the different agents and toxins. So if you pick any of these, then a notification will go out to the appropriate person or department to let them know that this is going to be part of the proposal. And with that, we are done with that section. The next couple of sections are pretty straightforward yes/no questions. Export control, I won't be reading through all of these. I'm just going to say no to these. These are basic export control questions. If you say yes to any of these questions, when this gets routed, there will be notifications sent out that there are export control issues here. So, read through these and hit yes, no to whichever work for you. We're just going to skip through and go to project information. This is a long list of 17 things, so we're going to go through these. Increased need for space or utilities. If you say yes, you need to put in your description here. Lease or loan of equipment or instrumentation to Tulane. Yes, no. Do any research team members have a VA appointment? If they do, you need to hit yes, and it'll ask you if there's a memorandum of understanding in place. If there is, then you need to attach that here. But I'm going to make this a no up here to disable that question. Keep this one nice and simple. The next two questions have to do with outside orgs or individuals. So the first one is, other than subawards already entered on this form. So again, these are not subawards. Does your budget include any funding for service agreements with an outside organization? If there are service agreements, then you can search for the entity or put unlisted, whatever you need to put here. We're going to leave this at no. Again, this is not subawards. This is just a service agreement with an outside org. Similarly, other than awards already entered on this form, subawards already entered, does your budget include any funding for a consulting agreement with an individual? So if this is an individual that you have a consulting agreement with, write in the name here. This question, this will apply to a few of the Uptown folks. So, is a teaching release or academic year salary relief requested? If you say yes to academic year salary relief, it'll ask you to put in the total project period salary relief amount right here. I'm going to say none of the above to keep this one simple. This question specifically goes for the School of Science and Engineering. If your proposal involves faculty from the School of Science and Engineering and you hit yes, it will ask, does it include graduate tuition costs as it should? Yes, and you put in how much is budgeted for that total project period. Next we have, does the proposal involve the use of non-human primates other than proposals initiated by the TNPRC? So this is a question that will trigger a notification to the Primate Center. If you say yes to this, it will let the Primate Center know that this proposal could involve non-human primates. If you are submitting this proposal from the Primate Center, you don't necessarily have to do yes, no on this, but this is a good way for them to get notified. The next question, does the project involve the Brain Institute, Aging Institute, Translational Sciences, or Bywater Institute? If you say yes to this, it has a drop-down that'll pop up, and you pick whichever institute. It could be multiple. When you do this, the reason we have this here is this requires a different routing, so this will trigger routing that'll go to a few other people if you select yes to this. We're going to leave this one at no to keep our routing simple. Subject areas, I really recommend using this to the best of your ability. This is a drop-down where you can select from multiple subject areas. So you can pick 3, 4, whatever you think your proposal will be used for. You can even put other and add your own in here if you need to. But we'd like to see these added so we can run reports on which subject areas are getting more funding here at Tulane. We added aging because we've been getting a lot of aging research over the last few years, so it's good to put in whatever you want here. And if you have other, just search for the other button and write in your own subject area. The final few questions are any inventions, basically, are any intellectual property, is intellectual property anticipated as a result of this project? Yes or no? I'm going to say no to this one. Does it contain confidential information related to intellectual property? Is there any update to your annual financial conflict of interest? If you say yes to this, it'll ask you to go to COI and fix that. Do you have a relationship that could present as a potential conflict for this specific project? There's an example at the bottom here too. If there is, click yes and describe the relationship below. Again, all these do is send out notifications to the people that need to know these sorts of things. The final 3 questions are from our IT department to make sure you have the right equipment and infrastructure. So I'm going to say yes, that we do have sufficient IT infrastructure. I do have the necessary software and licenses, and I do have backups and security controls. We have some policy links here if you want to read them. If you say no to any of these bottom 3, then IT will get a notification saying that let's say you may not have the necessary software and licenses, so they can reach out and help out with that. And with that, we are done with project information. The last section on our form we need to work with is the required routing documents. So we've got our checks here. We're going to go to required routing documents. This is where we put in all the different required documents we need for this to properly route. So again, these buttons up here are going to stay locked down until we complete all of this. So you can either drag and drop your files in here or click to add them. So we need the abstract scope of work. That is mandatory for each proposal. So I'm going to search my computer, find my abstract, put it in here. This will take any sort of file too. So if you've got an Excel spreadsheet, for example, this budget, I'm going to add an Excel spreadsheet for the budget and put it in there. If you need to delete an attachment, you can always click the X. Budget justification, let me go ahead and find that, add that in here. Then there's a question, indicate the funding opportunity guidelines will be provided via attachment or URL. If you know the URL of the guidelines, you can add it here if you want, or you can put the attachment. It's up to you. So I'm just going to put something generic just to fill out this section. The program name or funding opportunity announcement number, make sure you put something in here. So, that's PA, something like that. And now we've got, earlier we said there was a subrecipient of Harvard University, and this is where we need all of their subrecipient documents. We have this subrecipient commitment form link here too. It also exists, if I were to go back to the Subawards section, there is a link to this form here. And this is a form you can send out to the other school to let them send it back to you when it's ready. So that subrecipient commitment form is this very last link. So if you have it back from Harvard or whoever you're working with here, I'm going to attach that. I'm going to attach their budget and their budget justification as well. And again, these are mandatory if you've selected that there's going to be a sub-awardee on this, so keep that in mind. I'm going to let those load, and once they do, here we go. In just a second, this will turn green. Let me just click out of it and click back in. There we go. Sometimes it takes a second for this page, and now we've got all green, and this page is saving right now. And now that the changes are saved, you're going to see that we have a blue route for review button. That means this proposal is ready to route. And now we're going to discuss how that works. So once everything's ready, if this is your first time working with Cayuse and you're unsure of if this is ready to submit or ready to route for review, you might want to reach out to your sponsored projects colleagues and let us know you've got something ready to route. The reason I say that is while something is still in development like this, you'll notice again, you see the in development on the top right. This is fully editable. The minute this goes into routing, this proposal gets locked down for review. And that's very important because when reviews are done and certifications are done, it obviously has to be done on whatever information is present at the time. You can't go changing information once something is under review. So one issue this could be, what if you had, in your key personnel tab, what if you had 10 different PIs and something gets routed, and then after 7 of those people have certified their proposal, you find a mistake or something needs to be redone, then you'd have to reach out to sponsor projects to move this back out of review back to in development, and then those 7 PIs would have to recertify. So you can see why, if it's a complicated proposal, you want to make sure the information is as accurate as you can possibly get. I'll explain a little bit more in a minute when we initiate the routing. So once you're sure this is ready to route and you have this blue button ready to go, I'm going to click it, and a few things are going to happen. Right now, this is firing off all of those emails. It's firing off any notifications for any time you said yes or no to a specific question. So Primate Center is getting an email, whoever else we added on here. All of the people that are listed as investigators are now getting certification emails that'll say, please click here to certify your proposal. I have a couple of videos on that. If you need guidance, it's pretty self-explanatory for anybody that needs to certify. You basically open your email software, click on the button, and it'll bring you to certification questions, which you'll see in a minute here. And while that's routing, you'll also see this will move from in development to under review. So now this proposal, you can see, is all grayed out. Everything is locked down because this is under review. So at this stage, no one can do any editing to this except those of us in sponsor projects. So if you have a proposal that is locked for review, but there's a minor change you need done, reach out to one of us in sponsor projects. We have an edit button. No one else has this, but we can make small changes, like changing if there's a typo, if there's a small change that needs to be made, we can do that. However, if there's a major change, like adding new key personnel that weren't there previously, or just something major with the budget, you need to reach out to us, and we're going to have to move this back from under review back to in development. So keep that in mind. That's one thing to think about. So you'll see that because I was an investigator in this proposal, I have this certify proposal button show up. I would have gotten an email that says, please click here to certify. And I'm going to show you, using these tabs, how routing in history works. So I'm going to look at the routing tab really quick here. And when it loads, you're going to see that this is going to show for every investigator, their entire department. Every department has their list of people that are reviewers, and there's a review order as well. The way to read all of this is, there's anything with review order 1, this will be all the investigators that need to certify the proposals. So this shows who needs to certify and when it was activated. So this is pending. I need to certify this proposal, and when I do that, then it'll trigger emails to the second review order. So that'll be all of the departmental approvers. So we're in a training environment here, so we just have 4 basic people here, but every department in the university has a list of certain people that can approve the proposal. So for now, I'm just going to certify my proposal. It's going to give me a list of all the questions here. I read, confirm my certification, and certify. And when I do that, you'll see the screen load here in a second, and it'll show that I certified. It'll show the timestamp of when I did it. And then there were no other people that needed to certify, so the next stage begins of the review, the departmental review. So all 4 of these people would have gotten emails, and the first person to review this proposal is the one who does it. You'll see in a minute, I've named myself for training purposes as the reviewer. It should never be the case where you are certifying and approving your own proposals. We do have some fail-safes for that for specific people. So I'm going to complete my review of this proposal. Basically, the departmental reviewer will look at it and decide whether to approve it or return it back to in development. So the approver will get an email. They will look over the proposal, and they can leave an optional comment if they want right there. And at this stage, you'll see this will move from under review to approved. And also it shows a green check by whoever of those 4 people approved the proposal. And you can see the comment here if you want here. And if you ever want to look at the history of what happened with the proposal, you can always check it out here. So there's always a log of who did what when. One thing that's important, let's say you're looking at the routing tab, and the due date is coming up soon. You can always send a task to somebody within the system if you're noticing that somebody's routing is lagging behind, or somebody hasn't certified, or somebody hasn't approved. You can always send a task to let people know. And you know, we do this a lot in sponsored projects. We don't use our email system. We use this to generate a task because it'll bring them straight into this proposal. They don't have to go searching for it or anything. So we'll send a task saying, hey, can you please certify or approve the proposal? So now that this is approved, this is when sponsored projects would take over, and we would be the ones to manually move this from approved to submitted to sponsor once we do that submission. The final bits and pieces I'll talk about is we do have a section for notes. If you want to add a note to the proposal, just consider this putting a sticky note on a folder. You can put anything here, and this is visible to anyone that has access to the proposal. You can also see all of the attachments in this proposal. So this is a really good spot if you need to put other documentation, because we want this to be a central location for all of your files. So it already shows all the attachments we added back on the proposal form in the required routing documents. All 6 of these show up here in the attachments, but you can also add anything else here you want. So let's say you've got the full application package that goes to NIH. If you want to add it here, you can upload the file by clicking that and including the entire application package. So there's one for other, if you just want to put other documentation here. So feel free to upload whatever you want here. If you're unable to add an attachment, let us know. We can always add the attachments for you. Sometimes they're locked down depending on your status here. But that's basically how everything works. You don't need to worry about links or admin only. If we go back to our main dashboard, let me go back to proposals, you'll see that the proposal is showing approved, and then it's up to sponsor projects where we will be the ones that do the submission for you. So again, this is how to use sponsor projects training. Reach out to us if you have any questions or you need training on S2S or any other systems. We'd be more than glad to help. Thanks for your time.